planned to happen in July, and then it'll go to the full board in August. Now, the process steps themselves, that's the same as it has been historically. The timing, we've changed a little bit. We've moved the timing back somewhat. That's really for two main reasons. First is it gives us a chance to get a much better revenue and expenditure estimates to build into that plan. If you recall, historically, I think we passed it in March. We passed it in the past, and when you do that, we don't approve. So we pass a plan in March. We don't approve the funding until September, October, November. And so as a result, you need to you modify your estimates within there. So this gives us a little bit of a better opportunity to provide some good estimates. Uniquely this year as well, it gives us a chance to kind of let the dust settle on guidance for use for some of that federal money and state pass-through money that might be coming in as well. So it gives us a chance to kind of consider all of that. We're still waiting on guidance for from the Treasury Department. So, I just wanted to give an overview on the process. We've got representatives from each of the groupings here to discuss their individual projects as necessary. I don't know that we'll go project by project, but they're here to answer any questions, and I can certainly help out as well. So thank you. The first one is, I think, County Clerk.
Yes.
Oh.
Super. Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, the first one you see in there is the capital improvement program for the county clerk. That is where we decided to put the county boardroom as well as all the restroom facilities. That's gone through executive committee. They'll see it again on February 21st. You as the board approved the community development block grant, CDBG funding back in January. Part of that was that the Department of Administration requires to put $50,000 aside as kind of backup funds for that. So that's $50,000. That's what you're seeing in front of you in your packet today, is that same $50,000. Again, we're hoping not to utilize that. But again, they're very stringent on, at first it was, anything ADA related is working. Now it's more like, well, it's got to be an architectural barrier. So for instance, let's use your desk as for an example. It doesn't meet the right height requirements. So that means we've got to remove the desk. So hopefully, the state will pay for the removal of the desk and the payment for the new desk. And since your microphones are attached to that, they'll pay for the new microphones, right? And since microphones are in the ground, we've got to reroute these stuff in the ground. So hopefully they'll pay for the new carpeting. A lot of hopefuls in there as we work through the process. But we're very adamant. We're looking at having an architectural firm that's gone through this. We're having a firm to help us with the grant application, not the grant application, but all the grant work throughout the process. So part of that we know will go towards that firm. We're actually looking at getting those firms in line up the next couple of weeks or so. So that's what the project is, that $50,000. It might be increased by the time we get to August once we have a better feel on the design work that's going to be in here. So something that's like not ADA is when we remove this. Obviously, there's wall behind here down below. We have to repair that, or if we would refinish the walls or something like that, it's not really an ADA compliant issue. So again, hopefully by the time this actually, and that's what works out really good in the schedule as well. Hopefully by the time we get into that, and the executive will be involved in this process every step along the way. So every month from here on out, executive will be seeing my smiley face coming and talking about boardroom remodeling and restrooms and stuff like that. So once we get into that a little bit more and more, we'll have a better defined knowledge of what that money might look like.
Okay, so because this is a discussion, please flag me. Let me know if you'd like. Joe, go ahead.
I don't know if this is the time for it, but the one question that I had was in all of these, it said the funding source was sales tax. Does that mean that we're going to increase the sales tax to pay for this, or is it just a fund? I was looking at that, and that's the one thing that stuck out in my head in all of these is the funding source sales tax. That was
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So historically, we have, we collect a sales tax, and that's that amount fluctuates from year to year. Historically, if you recall, we've got a split. I don't recall the exact split off the top of my head, but a certain portion of that sales tax goes to offsetting the tax levy directly, and another portion of that sales tax goes into into our capital projects. So we, every year that's part of the process that we're in now as a budget team. We're putting together some sales tax estimates and kind of, once we get all these projects in, we total them all up and see, where we're at year by year in terms of what our projection is. So it's not, it represents incremental growth only insofar as how much that tax levy grows. It's not like we're shifting a bunch of tax levy into this program at this point. So that, right, we're not increasing the rate or anything like that either. That's not.
That was my concern on seeing all these projects and sales tax and stuff. That was my concern. So.
Sure. No, that hasn't been part of the conversation.
Okay.
Super, thank you. Any other questions, comments? The only thing I would have is, are we going to have time? Are you going to have time to come to Hartford? We have our video with cameras and all the extra screens and all that, completely Zoom certified, if you will, all set up. It's working phenomenally, and I thought you might want to take a peek at that.
Once we
And
get
see
the
what we
architecture firm on board, because they're going to be leading that cause, so probably have them come with me if we do that.
Okay, time wise, because I've kind of let them know that we were going to be looking at it. Do you have any idea?
The contract sitting on my desk today, that was reviewed by the attorney, so we're looking at a kickoff meeting sometime the first week in May, so probably mid-May.
Mid-May? Okay, super. Yeah, please let me know and we'll set that up.
We will also want their copy of myself. I want to contact you next week or sometime this week so that we can arrange something
Yes, please.
to actually come down and look at the room. So
Yep. All righty.
we'll do that.
Super. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Any other discussion on our discussion item? Now we actually have an action item. The resolution reauthorization of self-insurance for workers' compensation liabilities. Would look for a motion to move forward on that. Yes. Oh, okay. I suppose if Fair Park and Information Technology, I just see that now. It wasn't listed ABC. So, okay. So sure, if Dave, you want to, would you like to discuss IT? Oh, we don't have to do, are they up at the microphone already? No. So there you go.
So on the IT portion, I don't know if there's any questions on the projects that we have there. It's the network cabling piece, and that we're looking at recabling a number of the big buildings coming back into this building. So like the PAC and the Samaritan, for instance. Of course, we're not going to do the Samaritan if it moves out of that building, which is why we held off doing the bidding or anything like that at this point. The other big project we have is network security upgrades. We're looking at that as well. So that is just upgrading a lot of our routers that we have and our switches to the newest level of security within those platforms, and then buying some of those as well. And then the other ones that for the 22, 22, 23 is basically that's all we have for those. On the prior year or the existing year, we've finished the wireless upgrade. Not doing Samaritan at this point because we don't know what's going to happen with that facility. But we've already started to do some of the other cabling pieces in other areas like that. So we're moving right along as far as the current year, and then looking to the 2022 and 2023 area.
Questions, comments, any points? Did you have your hand raised, Bob, or no? Oh, well, you're sitting like that. I didn't know if you wanted to talk or. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Had me stumped there for a minute. Okay. Seeing then, we will now go to Facilities Fair Park. Who's taking that? Hello.
Hi, I'm Kara Herdrich. I'm the facilities manager here for
Okay.
Washington County. Can you hear me? Is that better?
We can now.
Okay, sorry, I'm just a little short. So this year, there's nothing significant added from last year for Fair Park. My plan is actually extended out into the 2030s. So the next things that you'll see on CIP don't come until late in 2028. We've got some plans to add a number of water heaters to our CIP all at once. In addition, in 2032, we'll be looking to replace 2 generators at that facility. Other than that, most of the work that we're looking to do does not meet the threshold for CIP in the near future. So we have a few water heaters that need some short-term attention. We've got some concrete repairs, a security system upgrade. Those will all be smaller numbers under $10,000, so they don't hit the CIP budget. So at this point, we aren't really making any changes from last year. But if you have any questions regarding any of these projects that are listed here, I'd be happy to discuss them.
Actually, I do, because I know there's been discussion back and forth as regards to the large parking areas, permeable versus semi-permeable versus non-permeable surfacing, what we're going to be doing in the future, and the fact that our Congress is insisting on putting our children and grandchildren that much further in debt with a what is it, a $2.9 trillion bill, which they claim is infrastructure. I believe 9% of it is actually pointed toward that. Hopefully they can get a little more. So I'll get off my political stump here and ask, there is a question in this, and that is if we're looking at getting some money from this, which I'm assuming we will, as far as infrastructure, and what you're talking about tends to lend itself toward the possibility of an infrastructure column. If, is that something that you folks might want to look at and prioritize if all of a sudden we come with this bag of money that we're given, so we can make sure that we're taking care of those things, especially in the parking area?
Yeah, so we have been having those discussions. I've been working with Scott on that. We haven't targeted Fair Park specifically with anything like large, but we have been having those discussions. Certainly moving up some of the parking lot projects might be something that we would take a look at. We really haven't had significant discussions about Fair Park as it relates to that particular opportunity.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to put it on your radar. Obviously, what I'm very interested in doing is making sure that if we're going to spend this money, we're spending it in a way that we're not then going to have to, a little bit down the road, have a big project and ending up having to borrow money, which would put that much more of a burden 20, 30 years, depending on how long it is and how long it would take to actually get done. For, again, our children and grandchildren really are trying to look out for them, because obviously the federal government isn't. So we're trying to use that money wisely so we don't bury them more in debt. So thank you.
Yep, thank you. Anything else?
Anybody?
Thanks.
And finally, we can get to an action item. Okay, which is the resolution, reauthorization of self-insurance for workers' compensation liability. Would look for a motion to move that forward. Motion to move forward. So move, Kara, seconded by Joe. Okay, we've got a motion and a second, so we will now let our wonderful head of human resources, Todd Scott, our director here, take it away.
Sure. So every 3 years, our county board has to approve the ability for our county to maintain self-insurance for workers' compensation. It's a benefit that counties have. Most private employers don't have that option. We've continued to be self-insured. There's a benefit to us. So if people understand work comp, there's a moderate. Typically, you want your number to be 1 or less. We're at 0.9, which is a great number, particularly when you consider that we have a sheriff's department, we have a Samaritan, which typically a highway department would typically be on higher yields for those. So we're at a 0.9. If we were fully insured, we're not. If we were, we would probably get a rebate because we would have been spending more for premium than we're actually using. Bottom line, I guess I'm looking for approval to move forward with the resolution to allow us to maintain our self-insurance, take that forward. I know there was a question asked at one point of whether or not we had some threshold of cost for the county. We do. There's a $300,000 aggregate and $1 million total that we do deal with. So we do have, they don't refer to a stop loss, but there is a window of where we stop paying. So, any questions?
I'm fine with this. You and I have discussed this in the past, so we do have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, discussion on this? This is your chance. If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you very much. So you are aware the next meeting date for the Administrative Committee of the County of Washington is May 12th, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. in this wonderful facility. We will now entertain a motion to go into closed session. Okay, we have a motion by Bob, second by Linda. Thank you. And this is to entertain a motion to convene